Okay. Okay, here. So I have here a file called the file is named connect.php. So this is the configuration file that you will be using to connect to your database. Okay, and okay, drop ko muna yung database. WEBDEV1 underscore DB. Okay, and then we will create this database. I'm on a database console. Create database WEBDEV1 underscore DB. Then use WEBDEV1 underscore DB. Okay, if you will show the tables in it. So wala pang tables dahil dahil it's new. Okay, wala pang laman yun. And let's create table. Okay, so we're working on the contacts form. So we will create contacts table. Okay, create a table. And the name of the table is contacts. Contacts. Oops, there should be a space. Contacts. Okay. Then include that on parentheses. Okay. And the first field is the ID. But, no. Oh, we should give like ID integer. That the field is an integer. It should not be null, of course. And auto increment. And this will be our primary key. Okay. Okay. Then let's we have also the name. First name. This will be string. Parang character. Size 50. Okay. Last name. Parang character 50. Pwede nga. Then the other one we have address. Address so ginating 200. Okay. Okay. Then we also have region. Region. Oh. Hold on. Wait. Ay, matanggal ito sa screen ko. How do you move this? Naka-block siya eh. Wait lang. I will just stretch this out. Okay. Varchar. Okay. Foreign character 200. Now. And the region. There will be a region. Varchar. Natin 100. Now. Then zip code. Pin natin 10 on length. Okay, and then the age. This will be a small integer. Okay, default 0. And then that's our table. Okay, so let's take a look our contacts table. Okay, so this is our contacts table. Okay, you use this to describe the definition of the contacts table. Okay, we have the details here. Okay, you can see the default value is null, and for the age default is 0. Okay, so we already have contacts table, but if you are going to query that, select from contacts and ulit select from the contacts table. It's empty, bago lang kasi, di ba? Okay, so we will add something into it. Let's try to add something, insert into contacts table. Set first name. That's John. Okay. Last name. And the address to sabihin natin na Canon City. Nangyari. Spelling. UUZ and city. Okay. And then the region also NCR. Okay. And the zip. Sabihin natin na 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Age is equal to 25. Okay. So we have added something on the table. We will query that from contacts. Meron na naman yung contacts table. Okay. That's it. But of course, you want to access that using our web page. Okay, so we have here the connection PHP configuration file. Okay, now we will utilize or we will use that file. Okay, so we will create a file that is called the list of contacts.php. Okay. Exit na natin itong MySQL. Okay. And we will create a file wherein you will include that file that we have just created. That is connect.php. Okay. And then we also have include once. We also have the contact.php class. We have created this previously in our synchronous lecture. We have that link. If you don't have that link, just check your group chat or ask me where it could be found. Okay. So initially we have the configuration file to connect the database, and we have a contact class. Okay. And what we want to do here is we will list all of the uh, names or the contact records that are in the database. Okay. But let's take a look at the other pages. Okay. On the LMS. So how do you connect to a database? If we will look into the definition of the MySQLi, so because in our example, in our LMS, gamit natin dito is yung MySQLi. Okay. Nag-load lang. But I have it here. No, here. Here. Dito yung MySQLi class. Okay. This is a class. It represents a connection between PHP and the MySQL database. Okay. You can use this class to connect to the database. You can see meron siyang mga properties, yung mga variables that are inside the MySQLi class. Okay, ano yun? We have affected rows, connect error number, connect error string, okay, error number, error list, error string, the field count, client info, client version, host info, protocol version, server version info, insert ID, SQL state, okay, etc. And first thing that you would want to use is the constructor. How do you use this? Okay, we have, however, the constructor is an optional. You don't need to pass anything initially. It's optional, and but if you want to, the first parameter is the host name. Okay, this is the location or the URL of the database server. The second parameter is the username. The third parameter is the password. The fourth parameter is the database name. The fifth parameter is the port, but usually it just uses the default port number 3306. But if you have changed it, you need to pass the exact port number. And if your database is using socket, you need to also pass the target location of the socket. Okay, so that's the constructor method. Okay, and there are also useful methods that you could use. Okay, but we just want to look at the connect function first. Okay, we have here the connect connect, you will pass the connection variables, connection details, okay? Similar to the constructor, okay? So let's go back to the LMS. We're gonna load na. Okay. Oh, magala. How do you connect to the database? Here. To connect to the database, you need to, what do you need? You need to have an instance, okay? You need to create an instance. Mm. You need to create an instance. Ate, ano nyo nga siya, Maris? Nangati yung tuhod niya. You need to create an instance of the MySQL. Okay. And we try to connect. It will try to connect. Okay. So let's try that. Okay. So let's go back to our connect.php file. Okay. Okay. So we will add a few lines here. So we will create a connection. Connection is equals to new MySQLi. Okay. Let's take a look. You will be passing the host name, the username, password, and the database name. Okay. But since we have already declared it here, we will use these constant variables. Okay. Database host. Second one is the database user. Third one is database password and database name. Okay. Okay. So since this looks lengthy, we need to do something. Pwede natin siyang yung mga arguments niya is on the new line. Okay, wala naman magiging error doon. We're just organizing our code. Okay. Okay. So basically, this line of code will just try to attempt to connect to the database. Okay. And let's try to print out what's the result of this connection attempt. Okay. Okay. So we will try to open the list contacts.php. Okay. We will open our browser. Okay. And let's open the list of contacts.php file. Okay. It should be displaying the dump of the connection variable, it will try to attempt to connect to the database using our constant configurations that we have assigned in our in our connected PHP. So as you can see, it returned an object. Okay, we have printed out what's the value of ito yung laman ng connection variable. Okay, it is an MySQL object. Okay, at na-detect niya na ang host natin is yung local host or 127.0.0.1. So, similar thing yun sa local host. Kung sa Windows kayo, gamitin nyo is local host. Okay lang din. Okay? Pero kung sa actual na actual na project yun hindi yan ang ginagamit natin. It's probably a different URL. Okay? Mas mahaba. Okay? So, walang error. Okay? Connection error number 0. Okay? Meaning, successful ang connection. Okay? That's good. Now, let's have a table doon sa ating doon sa ating page. Okay, let's check out the Bootstrap table. Let's find a code that will allow us to put a table. Okay, but for the meantime, what we could do is from the page form test. Okay, form test. Okay, we can copy the first few code because we will try to include this portions of the code at the top. Okay, at the top of the file on the listing. Okay, pin list contacts, and what we will do is we will paste it here. Okay, so that we already have the Bootstrap files. Okay, and the JavaScript as well, and the CSS. Okay, we need to close the div. We'll close that, and we also need to close the body. Ano pa? HTML. Okay, we already have that. And I'll go back tayo sa Bootstrap, kuha tayo ng table. Kasi lilista natin yung lahat ng laman ng contacts table from the database. And we will grab some ready-made code from the Bootstrap framework. Ang kagandahan kasi nun, maraming options. Merong table that will allow you to have some borders already in it. And then merong minsan effect na nag-hover ka to each row. Merong hover beep na nangyayari or nagpapalit yung background of the table row. Okay, you can do that. Okay, here we go. So yan. So ito yung plain sample niya. Okay, as you can see, the class name that will be recognized but by the Bootstrap is just the table. Okay, and for each row, okay, you don't have to put any class name for that. Okay. However, doon sa mga header names, you need to add something. Dun sa attribute niya, scope equals to call. And then you can see meron siyang emphasize or naka bold siya ang style ng font niya. Okay? Nilagay niya lang ng scope attribute. Okay? Ay, Ate Beck, si Amaris lalabas. Oh. Paano nga? Ayan. Then, another example here. If the table that you want is a dark one, so meron din siya. You just need to add this class name. Okay, table dash dark. Okay, then it will change the background of the table already. And ito rin yung example niya. Merong, kung gusto mo yung ano lang, yung header lang, yung dark. And if you also want to medyo may background, okay. So, you use thead dash light para sa lighter background ng header. Meron din, if you want stripes, okay, you can add stripes. Table dash stripe. Okay, ganun din. Gusto mo naman, merong stripe din yung dark back table mo. Ayan, ganun din naman, table dash stripe. Pero kailangan nakalagay yung table dark. And if you want borders, table bordered. Okay, table dash bordered. Dagdagan mo nun. Okay. And borderless, table dash borderless. Yan. Mawala yung kanyang border. Table hover. Ayan. Let's check this out. Kung ano ang behavior niya. So habang nag-hover, this is what I'm saying. Habang nag-hover, meron siyang effect. Okay? Now let's copy this. Okay? Let's use this. Let's just create it from scratch. Here, basically, ang kailangan mo lang naman is table. Open it and close it. And the class name is table. Okay. And table hover. And then yung first row mo is the header. The table row. Okay. This is for the heading. And sa head natin, meron tayong th. Okay. As you can see, meron siyang scope. Nilalagay, no? Scope. This is equal to, this is a call. Then you close it. Okay. So we want to display the ID of the contact person, the complete name, and the address and the age. So how many columns? Okay, ID, complete name, address, and then the age. So apat. Okay, so we will create 4 headers. Okay, this will be for the ID. um, full name, address, and then age. Okay, now we have our table. But wala pa yung body niya. Okay, the um, ER, ER. Okay, we also have need to declare it ed. Okay, dd. Okay, gawa tayo ng apat na what do you call this column. Okay, and the ID number, first yung ID number, the full name, address, the age. Okay, so gawin nating emphasize yung pangalan. So scope is equal to row. Row ba? Let's go back. Ayan, tama. Okay. Okay. However, we need to do something doon sa ating mga previous data. Okay. We need to do something here. First, we need to execute a query that will allow us to fetch data from the database. Okay. So, doon sa ating LMS, let's go back. Excuse me. Okay. So, and take note, if there's something error on the connection, you stop the execution. So we will add that as well. Okay. Let's open the connect.php. So what you will do is you will add something. We will add another line of code that will check or verify the connection is successful. Right. Okay. Okay. There's no connection. There's no connection. You exit fatal error. Similar siya dun sa function. So it will just exit or stop the program from executing. Okay. You add database connection error occurred and to inform the user what's the problem. Okay. Now, on our connect or contact class, if you can see, yeah, let's have a look at the contact class again. Dito sa contact class natin, we have here a definition of the class named contact. Okay, but we don't have something here that says that it is connecting to database. Okay. We don't have that yet. Okay, so we'll add something that will use the contact class and connect to the database as well. Okay, so let's create what do you call a file that will use the connect database and then as well as use the contact class. So we will call it as contact handler. That's something like that. Handler PHP. Okay. Okay. So this will be a class as well. Class contact handler. Okay. And then so let's create a constructor. Construct. Okay. And we'll create a protected DB. And this DB is DB equals to database connection. Okay, so we will retrieve the connection from the constructor function. So connection. Okay, so we use the database or DB protected variable. Okay, you need to pass something to it, ano? Since meron na kasi tayong connection from the configuration, papasa natin siya dito. Okay, for us to be able to use our database connection and retrieve data from the database. So then we will create another function that will allow us to retrieve all the contacts. No? Get contacts. Okay. And okay. We will declare contacts. Initially, it should be empty. And we will return that. And okay. So we will use this function to retrieve the contacts. And then this class will grow. Okay. It will allow you to add contacts, update the contact data. Okay, so this will be a useful class. Okay, so let's go back to our main file, the list of contacts, and then we will include the contact handler as well here. Include once. Contact handler that PHP. Okay, so so what we will do is we will create a so we have the connection variable declared here, and we need to pass it on the contacts class. We need to instantiate from the contact handler. What we will do is we will create a handler variable is equals to new contact handler, and we will pass in the connection variable. This is the MySQL object, okay, na nandito sa connect PHP, okay, and we will pass that dun sa constructor ng contact handler class. And if that's successful, we will have handler called that is that is an object, okay, a contact handler object, and we'll be using that here. It's a button, okay, somewhere here. It's a table, it's a row, okay, yeah. We add few codes here, okay. Maybe you will declare before we declare, let's go back. Top oops, tanggal, close, okay. Let's go back at the top. Let's declare first the variable named contacts. We'll be using the get contacts method, okay. Although empty pa yun, but we'll just turn an empty for now. Manya, gagawa tayo ng query for that. So, equals to handler, then we will call the method named get contacts. Ito yung dineclare natin kanina. Okay? Now, it will return an empty array for now, but if the query is added into that get contacts, magkakaroon na to ng data, content, an array of contacts. Okay? And then what we will do here is we will add a for loop or for each loop dito sa row na to. Okay? I will add a for each loop for each. Okay? And we will close that. And for each. Yan. And ano yung statements for each contacts as contact. Okay? So we will add here. So we are expecting an array of contacts object. So dapat magkaroon ng classes, an array of classes of the data type na contact. So kung naalala nyo, yung contacts class natin, meron siyang get ID, get full name, get complete address, and then get age. Ginidefine natin siya previously. Okay? So we will just use that. Contact, get ID. Then, okay. Go, contact, get full name. Okay. Then, dito naman yung address. Echo, contact, get complete address. And here, get the age. Echo, contact, get age. Yeah. Okay. So, if there is something doon sa database natin, magkakaroon siya ng laman. But for now, we will refresh this page. Let's take a look. Meron. You're expecting nothing to be displayed here except the header names of the table. Okay, ayan, meron nga, may header names, but it's empty. Okay, and we need to do something dun sa query. Okay, so let's open the bin or the contact handler. So what we will do is prepare a query para sa ating database. Okay, we will define query or SQL variable, and our query is to select all fields from the contacts table. Okay, and since we have our connection in this class, we will create, we can now use it. Okay, we will create a result variable, and let's try to query something. Okay, and what we will do is we will use the database object db, and then there is a function called query, and then it's expecting a query or a string. Okay, but if we'll go back to the documentation of here, you know, so meron siyang query method. Okay, and this query method, we'll look into that method. So it is expecting a string. You need to pass in the string that contains the query. Okay, and yan, so it is expecting a string. Okay, the result mode, yung second parameter. What are the result modes? And the return value. The return value, it will return false. Okay, if it failed. Okay, for successful select query, show query, describe or explain queries, it will return an object. Okay, a result object. Okay, ito yung mga example niya. Yan. Yan. Although meron din tayong example sa ating LMS. Okay? Yan. Somewhere here below. So, connect, you execute the query. What it did here is, first it checks if the result of the query is successful, and if there's a failure, the program will stop. Okay, and if there's a row, okay, so we can iterate through the row. Okay, meron siya example, but let's have it something similar to that. Okay, meron din siya isang example dito to fetch each row. Okay, you can use it, fetch array, or we can use fetch object. Okay, or fetch assoc. Fetch assoc means you're fetching associative array. Okay, okay, I will continue this later. Stop ko muna. And there will be a part 2 of this.